Welcome to 805 Focus. I'm Dr. Cynder Sinclair with Nonprofit Connect, and we will be bringing you the latest on your favorite nonprofits. So get ready to be inspired. Our special guest today is Margo Bryne, and Margo is President and CEO of the Channel Islands YMCA. Welcome, Margo.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
so
what
happy
a
to be here.
Fabulous organization, the YMCA.
Yeah.
Such a rich history and blessing the lives of so many people over so many years. And here we are. I'm dying to hear all that you're working on these days.
Yeah, you know, we do have a rich history. We were actually founded in 1887. So if my math is right,
1887.
yeah, 137 years.
You're quick, 137 years.
I'm
Wow.
prepared for that. But yeah, so we have been around for a long time. The original Y that we had was the Santa Barbara Y and the Ventura Y, both in 1887. And since then, as you know, we have really developed into a robust association. And you mentioned the Channel Islands Y is our name, and this is an interesting name. You know, we're along the coastline adjacent to the Channel Islands, and we have YMCA's from Camarillo and Ventura, Montecito, Santa Barbara, up in the San Ynez Valley in San Ynez,
okay.
and Lompoc, and recently we merged with the San Luis Obispo Y. So we go all through the Tri-County area.
Wow.
And I know that you actually talked to our Youth and Family Services director a while back and talked about our crisis shelter here in Santa Barbara and our transitional age youth housing program and those sorts of things that we do in Santa Barbara as well. So,
those are so impressive. You have so many impressive programs.
a lot.
Makes my head spin.
Sometimes it makes our heads spin too. Yeah, you know, we were founded in an organization that was really focused on the physical and spiritual wellness of young men. But we're definitely not just the Young Men's Christian Association anymore. We're the Y, right? And so we welcome folks of all ages, all genders, and you know, we just welcome everybody. We're open to all, and we really are proud of the wellness side of things, but we also are really proud of the drowning prevention programs that we do. And, you know, as we've recently heard the Surgeon General talks about the epidemic of loneliness and how important it is to have gathering spaces in our community where people feel welcome, they feel valued. And so that's really an important part of our work right now. As our retiring generation, right, as they start to step away from their work life, how can we engage them in a valuable way and for them to feel heard and to feel like they have a place to go and socialization, so to really battle that.
Important.
Yeah, it really is. It's more important, I think, as an organization, we're realizing that than ever. You know, we have a ton of youth-facing programs, but to make sure that as folks get to that place where they're not responsible for a work life kind of thing, that they have a place to go and feel valued, and it's important, and we have a lot of folks that volunteer for us and continue to come.
So don't I remember reading something about a special relationship you have with Lompoc schools to make sure that all the kids.
Yeah, that's a wonderful example of a relationship we have to serve the youth. The Lompoc School District has some wonderful funding that they're able to support. All of the high school, middle and high school kids in Lompoc can come to the Lompoc Family YMCA, and they have access to the full facility, so a membership, but then they also have specific programs to help them with career development. You know, what do they want to do? There are healthy cooking classes. There's the written word kind of classes. There are just a ton of things for the kids to come and focus on their physical well-being, their emotional well-being, and the spiritual well-being, and as well as kind of get them down the pike of what they might want to do as a career. So really a really robust kind of leadership development program. And it truly is one of those just organic partnerships that's really deeply meaningful for the kids and the families to participate. I think we're up to 450, 500 after-school youth that are coming to that program, right?
Holy,
big,
wow, holy
powerful
cow,
for the kids
that's
in Lompoc,
amazing.
Right, and that's just one example. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. It's so important for kids, especially teenagers right now, and it's going to get even more so
Yeah.
with all the technology, I mean, you read about it every day.
Yeah, yes, and I think just a healthy outlet,
Yeah.
And a guided outlet. And there are kids that have, high school kids who have sports, athletics, and those sort of things. There might be theater, and then there are kids that are really trying to find their way. They may not have as much support at home as other kids, and so to find that healthy outlet for them, to help them, right, to be contributing members of the society and feel like that they have a place at the table. That's something that's been really important for us in that youth development work is developing kids, no matter what they look like, no matter where they come from, to not only tell them that they have a seat at the table, but help them to get it to that seat at the table. So important.
So now you mentioned something about drowning prevention. Tell me about that.
So the YMCA, we've been referred to as a gym and swim for a long time, and that's not a bad thing.
No,
we do a lot
not
of
a
other
bad
stuff, and it's not a bad thing. So drowning prevention, especially we're oceanside, beachside communities along the coast in Ventura, Santa Barbara, and SLO counties. And so one of the programs that we developed several years ago, in fact, more than a decade ago, is a third grade Learn to Swim program. So annually we raise funds, kind of grassroots fundraising, and that goes to support programs like the third grade Learn to Swim. So we work with school districts all throughout the 3 counties, and in order to get the third graders all into free swimming lessons, so they can all learn to swim, learn to get in and out of pools, learn how to be safe, and those sorts of things. So it's a really an important program. And if you can get kids by the time they're in 3rd grade, then the chance of them not being fearful of the water and understanding it and being able to develop those skills, that's an age that you'll want to get them to. So that's a really wonderful program that we offer. But then we also have swimming lessons from from 6 months old till we have seniors that are taking those swimming lessons. But we're really proud of the community supporting that 3rd grade Learn to Swim program. So, and the goal is in that from Conejo grade north to San Luis Obispo, that every 3rd grader has a chance to learn to swim. It's a lofty goal, but it's our goal, and we're on the way.
A very worthy one.
Yes, and we're on the way.
Good. Yeah. So you have good participation by all the schools.
We do. Yeah. So I mean, there are a lot of elementary schools. So I wouldn't say that we're at all school districts, but we do a great job here with Santa Barbara. The school district here down in Ventura, and that's just starting to happen up in SLO since we've merged with them. So we've got a ways to go, but we're on track. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. All right. So. What program should we talk about next? There's so many. I don't even know where to jump in.
I think some of the most impactful programs are those, when I mentioned our annual support campaign, which so many nonprofits engage in. And we do that in the early spring every year. And it's really important that folks understand that we truly are a nonprofit. And one of the programs that we're really proud of, it's Live Strong. It's a cancer survivor program. And what it does is it really helps folks who are post-cancer treatment, or they may be toward the end of their cancer treatment, and we bring them in, and there's a cohort of survivors that we have come in, and we teach them how to manage exercise, and their body may be a little bit different. So what's the new normal for them when it comes to lifting? It's a research-based program. We partner with oncology units and hospitals as far as referrals into those programs. And what we like about it is that, again, it creates a safe space with other folks who have those experiences, but we also encourage them to bring somebody from their family or a friend or somebody who can support them through the process to come and exercise with them and those sorts of things. And so they're engaged not just with themselves, but they have somebody else to talk to about it. And it's so successful. Honestly, we've developed an alumni program. People enjoy that camaraderie, and they develop those relationships that they have a tendency not to go away. They want to stay and be a part of it after the program is over. So it's a several month-long program. But again, that's supported by sponsorships really, and grants and funding from hospitals, but then also our annual campaign. People donate to support that. So
you have volunteers that help you with that annual campaign, raising funds, and you're a 501c3, so people make tax-deductible donations.
They do. We we actually, between the 8 YMCAs that we have through the 3 counties, we raise over 1.2 million a year, close to 1.3 million a year. And all of that stays in the community. It goes back to those kind of programs, whether it's a leadership program, drowning prevention, Live Strong. They support childcare for families who can't afford childcare, because we know how important childcare, right? That was highlighted during the pandemic, right? The urgency for just safe and good childcare. So it's really an important program. So all of that, like I said, goes back out into the communities. It is volunteer-led and staff-supported, so we have hundreds of volunteers every year that support that kind of work for us.
Okay, so if somebody, let's say they're watching this and they say, well, I want to volunteer for that, or I want to be another kind of volunteer, can they go to your website and find out?
They can. They can go to the website, and not only could they donate on the website, but they could contact the executive director in their community. It's really easy to find on the website, and I think that you'll have that posted. They can reach out to us, and we love to have volunteers, whether it's fundraising, we need referees for kids playing basketball, we need coaches for little ones that are playing t-ball, and then we also have teens that come and volunteer and get their community service hours.
So of course.
Tons of opportunities to volunteer. So
that is great.
But reaching out to the executive director at their local Y is the best way to do it, or there's an information button where they can kind of click on that, and they can ask a question and somebody will get back to them.
Okay, so each Y has their own executive director.
Correct.
And that's a good contact point.
We really are, there's some things that are centralized as far as the business side of things, but when it comes to serving the community, there is a local branch board and a branch executive director at each one of our Ys that really are advocates and supporter for the programs and the services and the fund development at their local Y. So
that's really a good way to do it.
It is. And that way there's a connection, right? The relationships are developed in those communities. Yeah. And so when we talked about partnerships, that's one of the reasons why we can have such good partnerships with local school districts and hospitals, or the local foundation and those sorts of things. So
And you have a lot of collaborations.
We do.
Not just school districts, but all kinds of organizations. I'm sure.
And hospitals are one that are really powerful. But then there are other entities, right, that come and want to support. For example, the Youth and Family Services branch that we talked about we have the crisis shelter. We have folks that are incredibly passionate about housing for those who are in dire need, and so we have some wonderful partners that have developed there. We also have wonderful partners that are supporting us in the mental health component of our after-school child care program and how we help kids, right? It was traumatic going through the pandemic, right? And as they come out of the pandemic, how do they make adjustments behaviorally and things for those elementary school kids and even some high school kids, and I think childcare, right? That's another big thing that we do. We have over 30 after-school childcare programs throughout the 3 counties, so a lot going on there. And we have 2 preschools, one in Montecito and one in Santa Barbara.
Gosh, I don't think I knew about that.
Yeah, it's a significant amount. As a matter of fact, we opened registration early this year for after-school or for summer camp, and it's the demand for things for children to do in summer is incredibly powerful. And so I think every year we see the demand for summer camp to pop up. And again, it's not just going and doing like traditional stuff. Folks want their kids to engage in things that are going to help their child grow, whether it's developmentally or those sort of things. So a lot of fun.
Maybe you could just touch a minute on that crisis shelter. That's quite the program.
Yeah, it is. So we have a crisis shelter for minors, and it's a place where we work. Again, we have a partnership with the local police and probation, that if there are situations where a family, we might need a cooling off period, or a child or a young, a minor who has found themselves in a place where they don't have a place to go, or they're fearful, or they're in a situation that's not healthy for them, that they can come to the crisis shelter here in Santa Barbara, and there's a safe space. They receive support with counseling support and case management, so they don't just come and don't have services, not just a place to stay. We really work on reunification with the family and also work hard to make sure that once the individual is prepared to leave, that they have a plan. So it's not just a place to sleep, it's much more than that. So that's the goal.
That's just amazing.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised in this beautiful community that we live in, some of the challenges, right, that these young adults and these minors, right, they have to face. And even our families, like I said, we're talking about the basic needs of childcare, and across the nation, that's such a challenge right now, and to find quality childcare. And in the pandemic, we lost a lot of childcare providers, like in-home providers, and so that's been a significant need. And the school districts, again, have just been wonderful partners and helping us with that. But between, we really work on that continuum of little ones all the way up through adults, and try to have, make sure that we have programs that fit people's needs and work in our community. So
gosh, we are so fortunate to have you folks in our community, and all the communities in the Tri-Counties.
Yeah, and you just don't think about it. Before I started working at the Y, I'm in my 24th year. Before I started working at the Y, I just kind of thought of the Y as you come and you work out, and then you have the pool and that sort of thing. And so we love having opportunities to talk about just the enormous amount of programs that we offer, and the intentions of the Y to be here when families need us, to be here when seniors need us, and to be here when minors need us, and they're in that a traumatic or a challenging situation. So and to present as the nonprofit that our community deserves. And we feel like we've been through a lot as a community, from debris flows to fires and pandemics, and so to be there when our community needs us.
I feel like you folks are always paying attention and looking, what do our families need now? What do the kids need? What do the older folks need? What do the folks in between? What do they need? And what can we do to meet that need?
Yeah, and one of the ways that we do that, and we do, is we have the volunteer boards that I talked about. We really focus on strategically, where do we go as an organization, and where are gaps in service in the community, and if there are gaps, is it something that the Y should be involved in and can be involved in? But I think that's where partnerships come in too. This is what the Y does, but then where do we need to refer or have partnerships? And so if it's not something that we do, then we can still find somebody access to resources. Because as you know, we live in the lovely community that has so many nonprofits that do so much good work. It's nice to be able to make those referrals and have those partnerships. And I think that's really a neat trend in our community, is to have those really deep partnerships with other organizations and nonprofits.
So important. So, if you can provide the service, or if you're already providing the service, that's fine. Otherwise, you can, if it's sort of not exactly on your mission, you can work with other organizations too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the mission of the Y, is to create healthy lifestyles and create experiences for people to fulfill their talent. And that really is at the national level. And we've talked about volunteers, and one of our wonderful volunteers, which a lot of people know, George Lease, who is the president and COO of the Montecito Bank and Trust. He's been on our board for a long time. And he has been on the national YMCA board since 2019, and he is starting a term as chair of our national organization.
Wow.
So when we talk about nonprofits and the wonderful work that does here, he volunteers for a lot of organizations. I think our community should be really proud that we have somebody like George who is leading one of the leading nonprofits in our nation. And he is there taking the lead, and he's just deeply appreciated, I think, for his talent, his willingness to dive in, and he's so approachable. So that's just, I think, an example of the work that we do, not just locally, but then we also do nationally. And the mission is true and strong throughout the entire Y movement. We have 2,600 Ys. Over 2,600 Ys throughout the United States.
2,600.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Gosh. And we should be proud. We should be really proud of what we do here. And again, not just the Y, but other nonprofits. I'm so proud to be a part of the network. But 2,600 Ys throughout the United States, all who work together, to accomplish a mission of serving, and we really focus in youth development and healthy living, and then social responsibility. And that social responsibility, is a really, I think, more important, and we're leaning into that more in the last 10 to 15 years, which is great. And that's that Youth and Family Services branch that
Yes,
we talked about.
yes, yes. Yeah. So we have about a minute left. Is there anything else you'd like the audience to know about the YMCA?
No, I think the most important thing, Cynder, is that we're committed to being here. We've been here since 1887, and we're going to be here. And we would love for folks to be involved, whether it's coming to the Y and seeing what we are about, coming to one of our facilities, or supporting or volunteering. And if not with the Y, with another organization, right? Get involved and be a part of it. So
we're making a financial donation.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, our annual campaign comes around every spring, and our local Ys will be out in the works. And it doesn't just have to be during that annual campaign time. It can be any time, right? The Y is dependent, as we said, over $1.2 million that we raise every year to support those programs. So we would love that support.
Great. Well, Margo, thank you so much for this wonderful work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming on our show to tell us all about it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate the chance.
And thank you for joining us on 805 Focus, and we'll see you next time.